of Copeland. Kenneth Copeland was born in Lubbock, Texas on December 6, 1936. He was married in 1955, divorced in 1958, married again in 1958, divorced in 1961, and married again in 1963. In 1967, he attended Oral Roberts University. Not long after this, he worked for Oral Roberts as a pilot and chauffeur. Along with his wife, Copeland runs Kenneth Copeland Ministries, based in Fort Worth, Texas. The facilities are on 33 acres. He's got a church, a warehouse, a television and radio production studio, an airport, and his personal residence, all on that property. His net worth is somewhere between $300 and $760 million. Copeland also owns a few jets. One is a Gulfstream 5, which he purchased from Tyler Perry, a well-known producer and actor. This jet, brand new, would have cost around $36 million. Copeland didn't say how much he paid, but he said Tyler Perry gave him a good deal. Copeland claims that the ministry that he has brought 122 million people to the Lord Jesus Christ. Copeland believes in and promotes what is referred to as prosperity gospel or prosperity theology. Similar to Oral Roberts, Jim Baker and Joel Osteen also believed in this philosophy. Prosperity gospel essentially says that certain people are destined to be made wealthy by God, but those people have to pray and give money to certain ministry leaders in order to unlock that blessing. Even though this belief is popular among certain Protestant groups, it is not consistent with Christianity. If prosperity gospel was a store, it would be located at the intersection of Narcissism Drive and Religion Circle. It portrays God as a banker who financially rewards and punishes people. If someone is wealthy, God favored them because they're doing the right thing. If they are poor, or for that matter, physically or mentally ill, that may be thought of as a sign of punishment or a lack of faith. Certain chosen leaders can get extra rich by directly asking for money from the people. Kenneth Copeland thinks of himself as one of these leaders. Prosperity gospel only really works for these leaders. It's a very effective strategy for them, not so much for everybody else. Basically, this is a tactic designed to take money from people who are bad at math. A popular construct in prosperity gospel is the idea of a multiplier. I've seen many of these looking at many prosperity gospel leaders. For example, Oral Roberts would say that if a person gave him money, that individual gets 7 times the amount back. Copeland appears to believe in a 100-fold return. So it's like the prosperity gospel leaders are selling certificates of deposit. People are shopping for the greatest return. They look at the newspaper and see what the rates are for that day. Oh, look, Copeland's running a special. 3 days only, you can get a 300-fold return. I need to send him money right now to get the best rate. I was wondering what would happen if somebody gave $100 and they got back $10,000 and they then donated that $10,000. Would they receive $1 million in return? Or is it kind of like that rule in the movie Aladdin where you can't use one of your 3 wishes to ask for more wishes? In reality, of course, the multiplier does exist. The problem is it's 0. The good news is that the math is easy. If someone donates $1,000, multiply that by 0 and you get $0 back. If you donate $1 million, it's still 0. So no matter what's donated, the return is always the same. Most people who lose money to this scam are relatively poor and desperate for a solution to their problems. So many already have financial problems, and they view this as some type of last-ditch effort to fix everything, to set them right financially. Like they can donate $200, $300, or $400, and they'll get all this money back, and they'll be good, right? So it's just a desperate move. Kenneth Copeland has a message to his followers who are having financial difficulties due to losing a job. He said they should continue donating money to him. This is like telling someone who is drowning they should try holding cinder blocks. Prosperity gospel is a worse scam than the lottery. At least with the lottery, there is some chance of winning. Again, with prosperity gospel, the amount back is always equal to 0. As I mentioned, Kenneth Copeland is wealthy. He has a certain lifestyle he wants to maintain. For example, he only wants to fly in private jets. He said that he did not want to fly commercial because he did not want to get into a long tube with a bunch of demons. This statement was a bit confusing because of the plural. If Copeland was on the plane, wouldn't there be just one demon on the plane? I'm fuzzy on the math here. He said that if he flew commercial, he would have to stop 65% of what he does. Again, kind of confusing. I'm still waiting for the bad news. Wouldn't that cut people's losses by 65%? In addition to his thoughts on wealth, Copeland has unusual thoughts surrounding physical health. He claimed that coronavirus was a weak strain of the flu. He told his followers that to fear it would be putting faith in the devil, and that was a sin. When listening to Copeland talk about Satan, it's almost like he's talking about a competitor. Like, don't put your faith in him, put your faith in me. Some people think that Copeland is the devil, but he may be much worse. Kenneth Copeland makes Satan look like Tickle Me Elmo. Copeland implied that he could heal COVID-19. He suggested that people should still come to his church, like not worry about the social distancing, because he could pass out thermometers. And if he identified someone with a fever, he could heal them right there. So he could just save everybody a lot of time and work. In a televised sermon airing on March 29, 2020, Copeland claimed that COVID-19 was finished and over. He executed judgment on COVID-19. Copeland said that COVID-19 was brought to America by displays of hate against Donald Trump. These displays interfered with divine protection. As far as mental health, Copeland offers plenty of advice here too. His website offers tips on fighting social anxiety. Now, I don't know if he wrote this, but again, it was on his website, so it makes sense that he could believe what was written there. One of the steps says that social anxiety is a fear that opens the door to the devil. It says that when somebody is anxious, they should rebuke Satan's work and declare themselves healed. Another step suggests that simply being violent about driving out fear will take care of things. So declare yourself healed and aggressively resist social anxiety. That's really the advice he has on there. Copeland has equally perplexing views on post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. He told a group of soldiers that people with PTSD should read Bible verses and rebuke Satan. He issued a statement to clarify what he meant after people got angry, and he didn't really help himself in that statement. He made it sound as though people with mental disorders should go to treatment professionals, but going to them is indicative of a lack of faith. It's like he was saying, when you fully develop your faith, you won't need those professionals anymore. So the professionals are a good filler while you're trying to get to an appropriate level of faith. Treatment professionals are like training wheels. As far as his personality, it's difficult to know what Copeland's personality is really like. We don't know if what we're seeing is his personality or a persona, an act he puts on for the public. We see a few clues, potentially, into his personality. For example, there's a recording of Copeland reacting to the press indicating that Joe Biden won the 2020 election. Copeland laughs at this, and it's an unbelievably disturbing and maniacal laugh. We also see that a reporter from Inside Edition asked him a few questions about his wealth, and specifically about that statement about not wanting to fly commercial because of all the demons. During that discussion, we see that he gets an intense look on his face and points at the reporter. It was frightening in more than one way. He went from this angry look to smiling, just like that. So we see this quick change in affect. I don't know what he's thinking. There seems to be some anger, but other times he appeared pleasant. He went off on a few tangents. He didn't seem particularly organized in his thoughts. His persona seems to have low openness to experience, mid-range conscientiousness, high extroversion, mid-range to low agreeableness, and mid-range to low neuroticism. So to sum things up about Kenneth Copeland, his basic strategy has only two parts: give him money and rebuke Satan. Considering that when the devil dresses up for Halloween, he wears a Kenneth Copeland costume, perhaps the lesson we can learn from Copeland is really about the importance of identifying Satan in the first place. Those are my thoughts on Kenneth Copeland. Please put any opinions and thoughts in the comment section. They always generate